think we're live. Today is Yoga for Strength. So we are going to focus a lot on the core today, a lot of just building some heat, building some strength, and getting fully present in the physical body. So we're going to think about being present, being fully present. Looks like we're having technical difficulties on Facebook, so there we go. Okay, Yoga for Strength today. We are going to focus a lot on being really physically present, generate some heat, being physically present, and then when we lay down for our meditation, we'll talk about being present for the whole of the human experience. So if you have your blocks, we're going to use them a lot today. If you don't have them, you can make do without them. Begin on your backs. Start to think about being truly present on your mat. So let go of anything else that's outside of the mat right now. Let go of worries of tomorrow, worries of yesterday, and just start to land in the physical body, feeling your body on the mat. You can bring your feet down with your knees up and just let your knees knock in. It's nicer on your low back. So just starting to really find the ground. Feel the ground. Feel what it feels like to be on the ground. Feel your breath in your body. Do a little body scan. Feel your shoulders. Notice what's present in the shoulders. Give your head a sway and notice what's present in the neck. Wiggle your toes. Take a little sway of the knees and feel the hips. Really checking in, becoming really present with the physical body. What is present? Start to lengthen your breath. And if you're having trouble really letting go and becoming present, take a couple of really long, deep, almost forceful breaths in, and then sigh out of the mouth, really letting go. Imagine just breathing in fresh, drawing yourself into present moment, and letting go of what's no longer needed. And then just return to a natural breath. We'll begin to move with the breath slowly at first, bringing the hands down by the hips. We're going to inhale, arms up overhead, and exhale, hands back down towards the hips. Nice and slow, connecting with your breath. And then bring your arms above the shoulders, fingertips to the ceiling. And we're going to inhale, open the arms wide. Exhale, squeeze the arms back together. Inhale, open. Starting to fire up the muscles of the chest and notice what is present in the neck. Check for tension in the neck. Check for tension in the low back. And then take slow circles with your hands and slowly bring your arms back down by your hips. Land the shoulders on the ground, and we're going to take movements firing up the core, lifting the hips. So pressing into the heels from the rib cage down move. So watch for crunching your chin into your chest. We want to move from the rib cage down. So inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, lower. See if you can fire up the glutes, the backs of the legs, and the muscles of the stomach. Lift the hips and lower the hips slowly with muscle action. And then return the hips to the ground. Take a little side sway of the hips. Check for any tension in the low back. We're going to work with the muscles of the stomach. So we want to fire up the stomach and not use the low back for this. So paying attention to which muscles you're using, we're going to start to hover the feet. So bring your knees in first and then take your feet to a hover. So take your feet to a hover at a height that you can hold with your stomach muscles. If you are using your low back, your feet are too low. So bring it into the core. Hold your feet, hover. Should fire up the core already be lots of work. Bring palms to the ceiling, down by your hips. Fire up the arms and the chest. And if you feel strong, lift your shoulders. So if you're going to lift your shoulders, we want to have our chin up, neutral, head neutral. Watch for this because it takes it all into the neck. So hold, fire up the core, breathe, and then lower the feet, lower the shoulders. Take a little side sway, reset. And again, maybe just hovering your feet is enough for you. So stay there. We're going to bring our knees in, hover our feet, fire up the core. Make sure you're holding it in the stomach. So really in the stomach. Lift. If you look to the ceiling, it'll help you make sure that you're firing up core muscles. Arms up, shoulders up, hold and hover. And then a little tiny right hand towards right hip. Little tiny left hand towards left hip. Make sure you're not taking this into your neck or your low back. Fire up the stomach. Bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. Take your feet up towards the ceiling. Start to connect with your feet above your heart. Spread the toes. Take slow ankle circles. And then holding your legs up, start to fire up the muscles of the legs. Press the hips down into the ground. So really strong in this stomach. We're not using our back here. Pull the stomach muscles towards the spine and as if you're pulling in towards midline. So really pulling in as if you're trying to squeeze your hip bones in. Hold this. And we're going to take 1 foot up a little bit higher and then 1 foot up a little bit higher. So this should fire up really deep, low stomach muscles, not the back muscles. So really fire up the core. If you're using your back, really reset and start over, trying to lift from this lower core space. Find your breath. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug. A little reset. Knees over hips, fire up the core, so really pushing your stomach down into the ground. The ankles about even with the knees. Push your rib cage down actively into the ground. Stomach strong and active. Hands to legs. Inhale, lengthen left side. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, lengthen right. arm overhead, exhale back. Moving with your breath, really trying to find the muscles of the stomach. Move slow and with control. Watch for starting to use your lower back. Really keep this heat in the core. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Roll on over to a side and up to a tabletop. Moving with our breath. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, child's. Connecting with your hands on the ground, starting to fire up the muscles of the chest. Moving in whichever way feels right in your body right now. And then bring it to a tabletop position. Slowly lower your forearms down. Connect to your forearms, engage your hands. So imagine you're trying to pull your elbows apart without letting them move. Fire up the muscles of the chest. We're going to fire up the muscles of the stomach. Really pull the stomach in towards the spine. And we're going to take a little nose forward and a little nose back. Shoulders and arms active and strong. Inhale forward, exhale back. Moving with your breath as slow as you can. Bring it back to a forearm tabletop. We're going to slowly press into the left hand. Lift up, press into the right. Lower down. So we're moving through lowering and lifting. One hand at a time. So really feeling your arms. Press into the left hand to lift up. Lower down slow. Engaged arms. Engaged chest. Watch for buckling in the back. So keep your stomach engaged. Try not to just sink down into the spine. And then switch sides. Begin with your right hand. Press, lift, and then return to forearms. Press and lift. Engaging. Moving slow. Staying present, not flopping through the joints. And then bring it back down to a forearm tabletop engage. So really feeling like you're trying to pull elbows apart without letting them move on the mat. And then we're going to slow lift the elbows up off the ground and lower. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Engage the whole way through. So we're not just flopping through the arms and shoulders and joints. Muscles engaged. Watch for tension in the neck. Engage the stomach so you're not flopping around in the spine. And then bring it back to a child's pose. Let go. Reset. Bring it back to a tabletop. Lift and hover the knees. So tuck the toes, lift and hover the knees. Lift up out of the ground. Pull your muscles tight through your shoulders and chest. We're going to lower the knees and lift the knees. So this action is almost a full body action. Legs are engaged, stomach is engaged, shoulders, chest, all engaged. So soft base, Lift and lower the knees. Small movement. And then send the hips all the way up. Down dog. Warm up your down dog in whichever way feels right for you. Costume adjusted. And then find the stillness of down dog. Connecting with your head below your heart. Long, slow breaths. Turning your world upside down. What can you let go of? Slowly lift right leg high. Engage the right leg and slow circle. And lift three-legged dog, bend the knees, step through low lunge. Maybe find your blocks. Inhaling forward, low lunge, and exhaling right leg towards straight. Taking whichever shapes, angles, movements feel right. Moving with your breath, inhale forward, and exhale back. Land in a low lunge, so nice and strong, not sinking into this right hip. We're going to bend the back leg and we're going to pull the calf back. Bend the back leg and pull from the calf, heel goes back. So it's a really small movement. Pull from the calf, lengthening and strengthening the calf muscle. Engage the stomach to keep the torso long. And then low lunge, left hand on the block if you have the block, right arm forward. We're going to take a little tiny movement here. So little tiny movement forward and then pull back. Forward and pull back. Legs are engaged. Right hip and glute should start to fire. Really strong legs. If right arm up is too much, just place it down on the hip. Bend the back leg. Rise up, high lunge. Find your breath. Find a strong base, maybe popping in that back leg a little more so you can get really strong in both legs and strong in the stomach. Hips facing forward. Hold and breathe. We're going to do that same small movement. So bend the back leg and then pull from the calf, heel towards ground. Bend the back leg and then pull from the calf. So nice, slow, controlled movement from the calf muscle. So not from pushing the heel, really trying to find the calf muscle, lower leg. Bend the knee, and we're going to move with the breath. So we're going to inhale as we lengthen, exhale as we lower the knee. Inhale as we lengthen, exhale as we send the heel back. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Arms can stay on the hips. Inhale, exhale, legs tightly engaged. Find a high lunge. Legs and hips should be burning. Legs and glute on the right side. Slowly come forward on the right leg. See if you can pop up the left. Warrior 3. Lower back down. Frame out the front foot. High plank. Hold a high plank, arms wide. So hold, get strong, really strong muscles. Stomach tight, legs tight, glutes tight, chest tight. And we're gonna do shoulder taps. So if you're not strong in the shoulders, drop the knees. Otherwise, shoulder taps. So come onto the right arm, left arm taps the shoulder, other side. Move with your breath. Inhale, center. Exhale, tap. Stomach engaged. Legs engaged. Move slow. Lower the knees. Find a child's pose. Let go. Down dog. Slowly lift left leg high. Engage the legs. Slow circles. Three-legged dog, bend the knee, step through low lunge. Find your blocks. Inhaling forward, exhaling left leg towards straight. Set up into a low lunge. Strong in both legs. Bend the back leg. We're going to pull from the calf. Bend the knee and then pull from the calf, sending the heel towards the ground. Slow, controlled. Set up in a low lunge. Right hand can remain on the block. Left arm forward or onto your hip. And small, controlled movement. Legs are really engaged. Little tiny bit forward onto the right leg. Pull back from the left. Forward and back. Legs really engaged, and it's a small movement. Stomach engaged. Try not to sink into this left hip. We're really strong in the leg. Not just hanging out in the joint. Left glute should be firing up, maybe even burning already. And then bend the back leg. Lift all the way up. High lunge. Set up your high lunge base, maybe popping in the back leg a little bit. Both legs strong, engaged, core engaged. Shoulders soft. And we're going to bend the knee and then pull from the calf here. Bending the knee. Pull from the calf. And then hold a high lunge and we'll move with our breath. Inhale, lift, Exhale, lower the back knee. Inhale, lift. Exhale, send the heel towards the ground. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Move from the cuff. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale, pull from the cuff. Hold a high lunge. Find your base. Come forward onto that left leg. Maybe pop up the right. Warrior 3. Breathe and balance. Lower the back foot slow. Frame out the front foot. This time bring our hands to a triangle. So index fingers and thumbs make a triangle. Send it back to a triangle plank. Bend into the elbows. Engage the chest. Again, knees can be lowered. Stomach engage, chest engage, little bend in the elbows, hold and hover, and then little pulses. Lower the knees. Child's pose. What can you let go of? Down dog. Lift the right leg, step through, drop the back foot. Bring the block next to your right foot. So, rise up, warrior 2 legs. Feel your warrior 2 base. Get really strong in your warrior 2 base. So, this is me hanging out my joints. Legs are not really engaged. I can sink down pretty far. I want you to engage the legs. Pull up out of the ground. Nice and strong in the legs. If you want to try the block challenge, you're going to bring the right foot onto the block. So now you're really going to have to engage to not sink into the hip joints. Really pull up out of the ground with all of the muscles of the right leg. Imagine you're pulling your left thigh around and back. Nice and strong. Hands to hips to feel your base first. Get strong in the core. We're going to take your right arm out. We're going to think about the core muscles. Move our torso over towards the right knee. So really strong. If you want to know and remind yourself which muscles we're going to use here, bring your left hand right into that space in between the rib cage and the hip. Find this muscle group. Remind yourself to use this. And we're going to push and pull. Push and pull. Legs strong. Fire up your core. Push and pull. Push. Bring your right arm down. We're going to reach up, back, up. So we're going to bring our arm over the right leg. Legs should be burning. Stomach engaged tight. Scoop that right arm up and over. Reverse your triangle. So straighten up that front leg. Take a break. Bring it back to a warrior 2. Engage the legs. Arms can be up, or if your arms are tired, they can be at the hips. Legs tightly engaged. Wrap that thigh like you're pulling it back. Strong. And then we're going to pivot on the back foot. Frame out the front. Get still on the block. You're going to move your foot all the way back. Plank pose. Lower the knees. child's pose. And then down dog. Take a long deep breath in and sigh it out of the mouth. What can you let go of? Left leg lifts, step through, drop the back foot. Have your block handy if you're going to play with the block. Rise up, warrior two legs. So set up your base first. If you're going to use the block, bring your left foot onto the block. Really engage your legs. Get very, very strong in the legs first. So pulling up out of the ground with all of the muscles of the left leg. Right leg engaged and right thigh as if it's pulling back behind you from the knee up and around towards the hip, like a spiral motion. Engage. Right hand can find the muscles we want to look for in the stomach. Torso over, push the left hand far away, engaging the core. Little pushes, moving from the core, keeping your legs strong, solid, still. Push the torso over, drop the hand behind the leg, lift up, drop the hand over the leg. Lift, drop. All in the torso, not all in the stomach, not the back. So try not to move from that lower back space. Move from the core. Legs engaged. And then take a giant scoop reverse triangle. Straighten up that front leg. Lengthen. Left side body. Back to a warrior two. Pivot on the back foot. Frame out the front foot. Find left foot. Back. High plank. Lower down. Child's pose. What can you let go of? Reset. Maybe bringing the palms to face the ceiling and imagining really surrendering what you're ready to let go of. Offering it up. Ready to drop the burdens from our shoulders. And come on up to a seated position. So we're going to bring our feet to the ground, knees up. So we're going to work carefully here. Very careful not to roll onto the lower back and be using the lower back with no stomach engagement. So we're going to get nice and tall. Lean back just so our stomach is engaged. Feet on the ground, you can push into the feet to fire up the legs. Bring the arms up, palms out. Watch for too much tucking of the chin. So you want to be nice and long in the spine, really strong. Bring the palms to face each other as if you're holding a block. We're going to lift the palms, lift the shoulders, and then bring them across. Lift and bring them over past our knee. Lift and pass. So watch for this being all in the back. We want it in the core. Lift and squeeze. Lift and squeeze. So you should be squeezing the stomach muscles. This is level 1. If you want to move it a little more challenging, we're going to start with left side. So lift, lift left foot, squeeze and hover. Lift, squeeze and hover. So now we're really starting to activate left leg. Again, this is all coming from the core. Mindful not to use the back. Switch sides. lift, twist. Lift, twist and squeeze. Right leg should be very strong. Left leg should also be strong and grounded on the ground, not pulling with the toes or gripping with the toes, but really pulling in that left leg. And then bring your knees in. Wrap around like you're giving yourself a little hug. And then lengthen. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. From the tailbone all the way up. Opening up front side body. Slowly lower down to your back. I need to go this way. Come on down to your back. Land on your back, find your breath. And then bring your knees above your hips, feet up or feet even with the knees. Start to engage the core a little more. So pulling as if you're trying to pull your hip bones in. Push your hip bones down. Push your rib cage down. Stomach should be very, very, very strong. This should already feel like work. Squeeze your knees and legs together and then take your knees a little bit over to the right, back to center, and a little bit over to the left. Small, tiny movement coming entirely from the core. Bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Keeping your right leg up, lower left leg long to the ground. Activate long left leg. So not pushing the back of the knee to the ground, but pushing the heel into the ground and fire up the left leg. Left hip grounded. Take the right leg across the body. Little twist, leaving the right hip, right shoulder down on the ground and taking tension out of the neck. So neck is loose and soft, head is wherever it's comfortable. Slowly bring the right hip back, right knee back, left knee up, right leg down, heel into the ground, right leg active. Left knee crosses with left shoulder remaining on the ground. So a little twist in the core area. So taking this twist in the stomach, not through the hips. So keep that right hip grounded on the ground. Just want to feel a little squeeze and compression in the core. Bring it back. Slowly lower the left leg. Take a little shuffle of the legs. We're going to roll on over to our stomach and just work the back a little tiny bit before we start to really soften in. So find yourself in crocodile pose, one hand on top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips. What can you let go of? And then moving with our breath at first. Inhale, lifting the hip, lifting the shoulders, lifting the feet. Exhale, lower. You can just lift the shoulders. We're trying to fire up all of the muscles of the back. So you're firing up the glutes, you're firing up the legs. Trying to keep the head neutral rather than yanking and pulling. Really using the muscles of the back. And then lift and hover to where you can comfortably hold. Easy breath. So hold where you're strong. Inhale, center, exhale, right shoulder towards right hip. Inhale, center, left shoulder to left hip. So squeezing the muscles of the back. Really strong action. We're not flopping. Bring it back down to crocodile pose. Shimmy the hips. What can you let go of? Bring it back through child's and to a seated position. So we're going to sit in a comfortable seat. I'm just going to work through the shoulders a little. So nice and long in the spine. You're going to take your hands out. So palms face each other, shoulder width apart. We're going to push our hands forward and pull our shoulder blades back. So this is shoulder work. Push hands, pull shoulder blades back. Push and pull. So all in the shoulders. Spine is not moving. Keep your spine steady. Move through the muscles of the shoulders. Hands even with shoulders. Press hands away, draw shoulder blades back. Press hands away, draw shoulder blades back together. Small movement, trying to find the muscles of the shoulder, widen the shoulder blades and squeeze them together. Widen and squeeze in the shoulders. Arms up overhead. Lengthen, and again, spine steady. We're not moving the spine, we're moving through the shoulders. Lift the shoulders, draw them back down your back. Lift, draw. So slow, we're trying to find the muscles that make this action happen. You can bend your arms and just focus on the shoulders. Elevate and depress. Lifting through the muscles of the shoulders. And bring the arms down. Bring the chin down towards the chest. Feel the back of the neck. Bring the chin to the ceiling. So pushing the chin to the ceiling. Feel the front of the neck. Try not to just drop the skull backwards. Push the chin up. Lengthen. Back to neutral, ear to shoulder. Back to neutral, ear to other shoulder. Back to neutral, and this time working through the spine. So we're going to work through upper spine first, moving from the rib cage. Squeezing the core. We're just going to take little tiny circles with the rib cage. Tiny, tiny circles, trying to find the muscles in the stomach to make this movement happen. So really squeezing in around this solar plexus area. Reverse your circles. Back to neutral, and then rainbows. Arms up, inhale, exhale, over to a side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, over to the other side. Rainbows. Inhale up, exhale, lower arms nice and slow. Circles with the wrists, nice and slow. And then make your way back down to your back. This time it's not a trick. We're actually coming down to land. All the hard work is done, so start to really land on your mat and notice what is present. Take your feet long, point your toes, and reach your arms up overhead. Stretch front line. Legs long, 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 long. Squeeze the legs. Squeeze the stomach. Reach long, long, long. Take the arms and shoulders over to the right. Lengthen left side. Legs engaged. Take the arms and shoulders over to the left. Lengthen right side. Legs engaged. And then bring it back to neutral. Bring your feet to the ground, knees up. Take a little shuffle just to make sure there's nothing gripping in the low back. And we worked the legs a lot today. So we're gonna do a reset. So that's cellular somatic reset of trying to wiggle the muscles. So two ways you can do it. You can just lift and drop the hips. So lifting and dropping, it's a teeny lift, like a piece of paper slips under the hips, and just drop them down. So you want to get as loose in the muscles as possible. So get this moving like jelly. Another way to do it is to move the hips left and right, by just kind of adjusting the weight in the feet. So you want to move left and right and shake the muscles of the legs and the hips as much as possible. Let the shoulders land on the ground. Really shake out the lower body. Shake out the hips. Try and loosen and soften as much as possible. What can you let go of? And then we're going to do a full body reset. So take the heels down to the ground with a teeny bend in the knees. Teeny bend in the knees, just so you have room to move. Legs are soft. Everything's soft. And we're going to flick our toes. So now our whole body wiggles like jelly. Flicking the toes. Really trying to soften and reset. Maybe you can get the wiggles happening all the way up into the shoulders, across the chest, stomach wiggling. Really, really trying to loosen and soften everything like jelly wobbling in a bowl. And then take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, allow the body to suddenly land. Wherever it lands, take a really deep check-in. Notice where your body landed. Notice maybe one foot is twisted one way and one foot is twisted the other way. Notice where your body seems to have its holding patterns. Maybe you're completely loose and even and nothing seems to be gripping. Maybe one side's a little tighter than the other. Checking in. Take this moment to really notice what is present in your body. So we can jiggle ourselves up and then land. And it shows us a lot about what holding patterns we have in our body. So take this time to really get to know your holding patterns. And then you're going to make a choice about where you would like to be for your resting pose. So landing on the ground in whichever pose is going to give you the most comfort. So the pose that you can land in and everything is soft. Maybe you stay in full corpse pose, maybe you adjust with props. Find where you can be comfortable. Take a couple of those long, slow, deep, strong breaths in and exhale. Really push it out of the mouth. Breathe in, drawing fresh. Exhale. Let go of what is no longer needed. Take a couple of those. And then surrender control of even your breath. I'm going to read from the True Presence card. The past and the future live within you in this moment. True presence allows you to take responsibility for all that you carry and make clear, conscious choices about what to keep and what to let go of. Through true presence, you can awaken to your whole being, your body, your expansive soul, and the divine interconnectedness of all things. So through true presence, you can awaken to your whole being, your body, your expansive soul, and the divine interconnectedness of all things. So there is an intention that comes with this card. My intention is to be fully present with my feelings, dreams, challenges, gifts, relationships, and endeavors right here and right now. So as you're settling in, really take a moment to notice what is present physically, particularly what is present now that was not when you began the class. Notice what is present mentally. So land in that space in the middle of your mind. Notice what is present there. So check in as if you're asking a dear friend how they're doing. Without judgment, without labeling, whether or not thoughts should or should not be there. And then check in with your emotional state. How are you feeling in this moment? Are there multiple emotions and things present? How is your overall emotional well-being? Trying not, again, to judge emotions as whether they should or should not be there, but allowing space for whatever is present to be present. Maybe as you begin to allow space for your emotions, you can begin to soften your torso. Soften around your breathing muscles. Soften around your digestion. So when we're feeling stressed or anxious, our fight or flight kicks on. So our muscles get ready to fire, our digestion slows. We can intentionally start to soften this process and intentionally tell ourselves that in this moment we can soften and take a break because all of our needs are met. So see if you can really hold space for your emotional well-being so that you can start to soften around the torso. Start to allow your digestion to fire back up. Allow all the muscles that get us ready to flee to soften. So think about the glutes, the low back, all the muscles of the stomach. We've worked this space. They did a lot of work. So now they can soften. They can take a break. They can rest. See if you can imagine your hip bones really landing on the ground, being fully supported. Melt into the support of the ground, allowing the ground to carry you, support you. And journey in towards the heart space. Becoming quieter and quieter and softer and softer. Traveling deeper within, below the physical layer of the body, below the distractions of the outside world, below the distractions of the mind. Journey towards the sound of your own heartbeat. And allow space to be truly present for the heart space. The magic of your own life force beating within. If you have the time to spend more time in your resting pose, please take as much time as you need. Practicing dropping below the layers of the thoughts, below the layers of the physical body, below the distractions of the emotions and thoughts and physical body, and right towards the center, the heartbeat. You need to finish up at 60 minutes. Come on over to a fetal position if you're not already there. Curl up in a tiny ball and really be present for your whole being. Your past, your future, your traumas, your moments of joy, your whole being. Just be present for a moment. Feeling all that you are, all that you've been, all that you've yet to be. Just being present for you, your whole you. Trying not to sever negative and positive, but just bringing whole. And then think about those judgments that we place on our experiences, on our actions, on our past, on things that we have done, that we've judged negative or positive. And then think about letting the burden of that judgment drop. Not the thing that you've done, not the experience, but the burden of the emotional attachment, the emotional judgment, the harshness. Imagine dropping it on the mat. Wrapping yourself and accepting yourself as whole and complete as you allow all of the things in the way, things that we're ready to let go of, to slowly drop and soften. And trying not to think of that cognitively, but to really think of some kind of visual representation of dropping heaviness from your space, dropping weights, dropping burdens. And then come on up to a seated position. Bring your hands to prayer at heart space. Bring your left and right sides to meet in front of our hearts. And connect with the concept of being whole and complete, precisely as we are. May you find moments throughout your day to be truly present for the whole of you and the whole of your experience. Present with your emotions, present with your thoughts, present with what is going on for you. And may we all know a little love and a little connection. Thanks for joining me.